Hi guys, I hope that you're having a good afternoon. So I wanted to just jump on and do a quick video about a topic about something that I've just been dealing with recently that's not something I've ever really dealt with before, and that is this feeling of rage. And if you had said to me, even a couple months ago or a year ago, would you say you experience rage in your life? I probably would have said no. It's the one kind of category of emotions or feelings that I can't say I've ever really tapped into or understood. And I've certainly felt anger at different times of my life, and I feel like anger is an emotion that arises very much more reactively to a situation. And anger is something that um, is more directed to a particular person or particular situation. But I found that now with this feeling of rage, it's very much more around just a general feeling of um, this like energy that's sitting within me. And I think that this rage came forth from feeling so angry and distraught about what's going on in our world and the environment. Um, every day there's another story about, some poor species that's suffering, or, like slicing off fins off of sharks, and polluting polluting the environment, and indigenous cultures that are not being protected. And there's just so much that goes on out there in the world that is really actually just shocking. And over time, I think I've just had enough of hearing about it all. And all of those incidents that have led me to tears and anger and depression and frustration have really just accumulated in this kind of underlying feeling of rage. And I've really been sitting with this feeling now for the past couple of weeks, trying to understand it. And funnily enough, in the book Women Who Run with the Wolves, which many of you know is probably one of my best books of all time, there's a whole entire chapter dedicated to rage, and I've never really read it before. I think I skimmed it, but not believing that it was something that was applicable to me, I didn't really ever pay too much attention to it. So I've been going into that. I've been looking at some of the kind of background to where this, even the word rage comes from, which is very interesting. It actually comes from the word rabies, because it's a feeling of madness. So, we very much associate rage with the very negative, like sort of violent side, but really it comes from this, like you're driven mad by something. And that is actually, I think, for me, very much how I feel. And so I've been really just feeling this feeling within my body, and the best way I can describe it is like it feels like there's a volcano that's inside of me that it's just this like tsunami of energy in a way that's sitting there. And I can see though how if you leave that energy there, it can cause a lot of imbalance, and it needs to be given a voice, and it needs to be given an outlet in order to balance it, so that it doesn't pull the energy body, or the psyche or anything else out of balance. So I've been exploring ways in which to like give that rage a voice. And one of them, an interesting idea I came across, was how do I transform my rage into more of an outrage? Now, another very interesting, slightly nerdy fact is that outrage, we mistakenly believe outrage comes from the word rage, but actually they're completely unrelated. And outrage actually comes from the French word outre, which means beyond. So, how do we go from this rage, this madness, and transform it into something that's beyond what is socially acceptable, beyond what we would expect? And for me, I feel like with the state that the world is in right now, this need to go beyond, this need to get out the box and to embrace completely radical ideas and ways of being is what's so needed in order to move forward. If we keep doing the same things, we are, we're not going to get anywhere. We're going to keep finding ourselves back in the same space. So I've been working with how to transform this feeling of rage into outrageous ideas, and it's been I would say, a very effective tool for me right now. In order to do that, I do apologize. I've got such blocked ears that I'm struggling to actually even hear properly, and I've got a bit of a raspy throat to go with it. But I wanted to quickly get this message out. I have a client arriving at my home now, so I need to go. But I'd love to hear your feelings about rage. I don't think rage as well is specific to any topic. I think we can have rage. Rage is just an energy, and I think we can experience that rage in response to many, many different stimulus and many, kind of different emotions that give rise to this rage over time. So I'm going to go now, but I'd love to hear if you have any thoughts about this rage and how you would look to transform and work with this rage. Because something that Clarissa Pinkola Estes says in her book is that rage is very important when we use it just a sprinkle. So we use that rage just like a pinch if we're cooking. It's like adding a pinch of salt. The rage can be the catalyst that gets things started, and therefore sitting with it and feeling it and tapping into it in our bodies allows us to kind of kickstart a new process. But I very much feel that I need to kickstart the outrage and in that way transform it. So I leave you with that, and sending love. Bye.